Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Week 8 of the Midwest F1 League Division 2. I'm Hotspot, and Blinn is alongside me, who we'll get to in just a moment. But here we are at the Shanghai International Circuit here in China. 16 corners make up this 5.4-kilometer circuit, with 10 corners to the right and 6 to the left. Only 2 DRS zones here, but the main challenge is going to be those patience testing corners, corners 1, 2, and 3. So, Blinn, what is going to be the strategy for this race, considering that these first couple corners, you really have to just keep your nose clean and keep patient because, a lot of opportunities for moves, but this is going to be a tough one for sure for these drivers.
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome back to Midwest F1. Yeah, definitely, first lap, those first three corners pretty much, that's going to be, either a big pile up or it's going to be all side by side between pretty much, 10 rows of cars. But yeah, this whole track altogether is really tricky. Don't forget about that whole Sector 3, the start of it, turn 11, 12, and 13. Bringing you out to that really long straight at the back there with the DRS. So, yeah, a lot of things can happen in China, and usually they do. So, yeah, let's see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't necessarily like this track almost, but I tell you what, when it's going well and when we have some good racing, I kind of like this circuit actually. A lot of people give it some hate just on how complicated it really is, but honestly, when this track is having a good race, it is really fun to watch. So as we see, a couple cars are making their way out onto pit road right now. We just have a couple driver changes to announce big news out of the Ferrari garage, in particular, as Jinnit has made his way up to Div 1, and he's now replaced by Monkey Mafia, so that's good for him. Monkey Mafia, a personal friend of mine, and everyone else here in the league, obviously. Also, the Razor guy has suddenly resigned from the league full-time. And I hope everything's okay with him because this was a very sudden departure from him, and it sounded somewhat serious as well. So, Razor Guy, if you're watching this later later this week, we do hope everything's okay with you. And he's been replaced by Spool and Dub. Coming out of the Sauber garage, OG Northerner has dropped down to Div 3, but this is his decision as well. He was the one that was like, listen, I don't think I'm keeping up here in Div 2, which, by the way, I wouldn't say is necessarily true. He has had his tough moments, but at the same time, he's a pretty solid driver. His seat is now being taken by Adeltonian, so it's actually a driver swap, as we got a car already off. Who's that? Do you know who that is? It's a Haas, I believe, over in Sector 2, that someone has gone off there. I believe that is the Haas of Space Cowboy. Yeah, he's looking a little bit off the pace here. As his lap time is also deleted, so interesting stuff already. Also, K-Dog K is reserving for Div 1 tonight, and her seat is going to be filled by Racing Ginger. Racing Ginger we've seen a couple times in this division now. Pretty solid driver. And finally, a last-minute substitution here. We've got Ray46, who's taking over the Renault seat of Best Pawns tonight, as we've got a couple cars taking their laps around track now. So, a lot of driver chases, Blinn, and just when you think that we've got a fair idea of how this Drivers' and Constructors' Championship is going to play out, everything just gets thrown out the window on almost what seems to be a week-to-week basis. So, this is, Ray's nearly almost lost it coming out of turn 3 there. So, yeah, how do you even, how do you stay on top of everything in this division? This is tough, man.
Yeah, and I think that adds to the whole, excitement and the challenge of this division, that people sort of come in and go throughout the division and throughout the season. People move up divisions or move down divisions, or in the case of Razor Guy, something might happen and you just can't make the races. So it's all over the place. That's something that I think these drivers will experience in pretty much any league that they're in. If they've raced in other leagues before, they probably would have experienced this as well. But that's where the main skill of a good racing driver really comes in. Just being consistent and clean, that's what wins races, wins you championships. And I've seen other drivers before that, maybe win only one or two races in the whole season, but they win the championship because they're always up there in the points, on the podiums, just being consistent, being clean, staying out of incidents. And, China is pretty much a perfect track to do all of those things at, as Saffron City puts in a 131.5 for the first time lap on the track there, and that gets him a professional pole for now.
Yeah, and as you were talking, we had our first retirement of the day, Space Cowboy, and I'm not he was retired over in Sector 2. As you remember, he had the incidents in the first on his outlap as well, so I'm not sure what has happened with him. As we're on board with Saffron City right now, kind of in the way of Heavy S at the moment, who Heavy S has a timed lap going right now. But yeah, a great point that you bring up as well, because I know that to be true for myself, especially in the F2 division, which we run on Wednesdays, was kind of a thing with me. Like, I don't have the best results at all, but I've stayed up there, and I currently find myself at least 5th in the Drivers' Championship so far, despite running one less race. But yeah, so it is really just about staying in there. So I think a lot of these mid-table guys, such as, and no call-outs when I say this type thing, Super Ninas, we might have Cake Thomas, who Cake Thomas has just been jumped into the seat recently, Domingos, Saffron City, Best Ponts, all of these drivers might suddenly be making a charge to the top, as we've got someone off over in Sector... that's one of the McLarens. Could they have gotten into each other? I'm not really sure what's happened there, as I see Smith Pell is off the pace. And surely one of them went around, and Domingos is also a little bit slow, though he's letting Spool and Dub out by. But yeah, it's really I really think some of these mid-table guys are going to start getting their chance at some wins here, and that's going to be really, really interesting and great to see overall.
Yeah, I'm watching Azed Altonian here, just set a lap, puts himself in 7th place with a 132.5, so there's quite a bit of a gap between, I guess, first place and even if you're looking down to about 5th or 6th, that's quite a gap there, about a second, and all the way up to about a second and a half almost. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's still early in qualifying, 12 minutes to go. Smith, Pell, and Domingos doing a pretty good job in the two McLarens in 5th and 6th place. Those two guys can possibly do a really good performance for McLaren and keep those points coming, because McLaren is up there in the championship. In the constructors with only a 2-point gap to Ferrari, so if they want to hold on to that gap, that's they've got some work to do. And then also Williams is at 189 points, so they're only 4 points behind McLaren at 193 and only 2 behind Ferrari at 191. So again, those gaps are very, very small right now. All the points are going to really make a difference.
And speaking of the standings right now, I mean, yeah, we've got the pretty much very close battle amongst the top 3 in the constructors standing. Red Bull's a little bit further behind Williams, 189 and 161 there, respectively, for those teams. But over in the Drivers' Championship, I mean, we got Sadistic King, who only has a 5-point lead on JC Blackley in the Drivers' Championship currently, as we see Scavenage and its win at Razor Guy and Jimbo Fishing down there in 7th have all moved on and done different things. So they're kind of, I would say, scribbled out, almost. I wouldn't really say that, but so yeah, Sadistic King and JC Blackley, very, very closely contested between them. Speaking of JC Blackley, he's coming out on his outlap at the moment as he goes through Sector 2. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting race as well, and I mean, I'm excited to see how some of these drivers handle this track, because these first couple corners have a couple different lines that you could take through them. You could go to the outside and survive. I mean, especially if you go on the outside, you'll get the better line going into 3, but you could stay on the inside and probably survive somehow. I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I mean, I was talking to the drivers in the Discord this past week, and a lot of them are just saying, just keep it patient, not try to do anything too rash or ridiculous. I mean, a lot of these people are saying just stay patient at the starts, and this is one of those tracks where it's going to be tested, not necessarily on the difficulty of the corner, it's just there's so many opportunities to possibly overtake going through these 3 corners. It's just, are they the best gaps you want to take, and are they the cleanest?
Yeah, I've been watching some of the drivers going through the first sector there, especially those first four turns, and they are all taking different lines, but you got to remember that on the first lap and then later on in the race as well, when everybody is battling it out, going into there, you might not be able to take the line that you usually do. So, again, it's just a matter of consistency. It's just a matter of making it work. So, knowing when to brake if you're following a car, knowing where, to turn in for that corner and what sort of corner to do depending on the situation. It's all something that these guys are probably, pretty familiar with already from all of their racing experience. So, yeah, I'm just really excited to see because China usually brings out some really interesting racing in league racing. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm really looking at X Sui right now. He's put in a really quick time, a 131.5, so he's right up there with Saffron City and Sadistic King. Pretty much one of the closest people to the top right now. But he hasn't had any really good races yet. He's 14th in the standings with 48 points. He always does really well in qualifying, but then sort of falls apart for him in the race. So I'm really hoping that Exui can possibly maybe even get a podium tonight.
Yeah, and I really like Sui as a driver. You know, he qualifies well, as you say. I just notice a lot of times he's not very aggressive on track when he's driving around. I remember seeing it at Monaco, how frustrated I was up here in the booth because there were so many opportunities for him to overtake that he just didn't end up taking. But there's no questioning this man's talent. I mean, he is a talented driver. It's just whether or not he can I guess, put more pressure on some of these people at the top of the grid, as his teammate Cake Thomas has filed in at fifth, as he is on his outlap as well. Now, Cake Thomas had a solid week last week. Oh, he's almost clipped the barrier there going into the pits. That was very, very close. But Cake Thomas, another one of these up-and-comers coming out of Div 3, jumping up into Div 2, I wouldn't say almost immediately, but pretty fast. Currently finds himself fifth. As let's go back along with Sui, as I believe he's making another timed lap. There you go again. Yeah, he's taking a different approach to this corner. He's coming out a bit more shallow out of the exit of turn 3 and going into 4, where some of these drivers will be really right along the right-hand side of the track. But as I say that, Sui has set a personal best over in Sector 1, so heck, maybe that'll work for him. But who else do you have your eyes on today, Blinn?
I was actually following on board with XWE because, I want to see what sort of line he was taking there. But if you notice, through turns 1, 2, and 3, he decided to do sort of a combination of both of the main lines that most people choose to there. So he went in really nice and low to the corner on the entry of turn 1 and then swung the car out to the exit, to the outside when he was turning into turn 2, which gave him a nice entry into turn 3. And right now he set 2 purple sectors in a row. He's just opening up the DRS onto the back straight, so only a couple more corners to go here, and if he can make this one stick, I think he can put in a really good challenge for pole.
Yeah, and as we were talking, JC is now up to second place, splitting the two Williams, though he has had his now previous lap deleted. So I'm not really sure where exactly you could really be going off. I guess maybe the exit at turn 3 if you go a little too wide. Maybe through turn 6 if you somehow cut that corner, which is probably pretty hard to do. Maybe through 11 and 12. I think when I jumped on with him, we were going through 11 and 12, which I guess is fairly possible to get a track limits penalty there. I'm also going to be looking at going into turn 14 and then 15 because you're going down this long DRS straight and then all of a sudden into this corner where you need to slam on the brakes. And even then, if you don't hit that corner correctly, it's going to be a mess and you're going to lose position. So I'm going to be looking at that as well. As we got Sweet, who has just jumped onto pole position currently. So yeah, I guess our predictions were both correct as he set himself a really solid lap. Though not a lot of breathing room back to second place by only 1/100th of a second.
Yeah, those gaps are even lower than that because if you really look at those numbers, the gap is actually only about 16 thousandths of a second between first and second right now. That is unbelievable. And Smith Pell puts in a really nice time there. I was just watching him going around 131.4, so he's not too far away. He's got 5 minutes, I think, to jump into the pits, although this track, it's a long one. It's not really long in terms of the distance itself. It's only 5.4 kilometers, but it's just so many turns, so many corners, so many slow corners that it feels like forever going around here. So the guys got to give themselves a little bit of extra time to get out there for a timed lap to give yourself extra time for the out lap. So right now, though, it's looking like a really nice mix there at the top. XSui, Sadistic King, JC Blackley, Monkey Mafia, Smith, Pell, Saffron City. You have 5 different teams in the top 5. Actually, all the way down to the top 8 right now. Everybody's in a different team. So the competition is incredible. Like, I can't wait until this race is going to start.
Absolutely, and as we see, Monkey Mafia, who I was just following along with, he is currently finding himself in 4th, as someone else is coming out on their outlap right now. Smith Pell is really off over in turn 12. I don't know if he's hit something or just letting its heavy S go by on his timed lap, but interesting stuff there. He was a little bit too slow for comfort. I think he could have gone off over there, but as I was saying, Monkey Mafia's found himself up into 4th. That is a great result for the Ferrari garage, especially after both of their drivers moving on this past week. I think right now Monkey Mafia could actually be a really, really solid fit for this team. I mean, we saw him. Ooh, someone has gone off over in sector 2. That is the Alpha Tauri of Cake Thomas, and something interesting has happened to him as he's found himself in a very awkward position. His lap time is also deleted. I'm not really sure what's happened there. He's just completely spun out or something, because that is just a weird place to go off. But anyways, I back to what I was saying about Monkey Mafia. I think honestly he could be a really good fit for this team. We saw him earlier in the season. And that was kind of the period where Ferrari was having some of their more difficult races where they weren't getting the best results. But then again, you got to think we were at Monaco, so I mean, if you have a good result in Monaco, you're either lucky or super talented. There's not much in between. So yeah, that could be a really solid fit for this team. I think the Williams right now, honestly, the Williams are having a really good, consistent run of form. These past couple weeks, these past 2 weeks in particular, have been a little bit lower than where they'd like to be, but I think the McLaren team right now is in a real lull of form, and I have no idea why. A lot of the time, it's just super bad luck coming their way. As we saw at Austria, that happened, and I think last week at Mexico as well, something happened there as well. So I think right now, in my opinion, possibly we could be looking at a different name at the top of the Constructors' Championship.
So a bunch of drivers coming out for their last hot laps here. Only a couple of minutes to go in qualifying. Pretty much all the top 5 are out on their out laps, and yeah, this could be interesting.
This is going to be interesting here. We've got, as you said, I mean, we've got a lot of drivers on their out laps and a lot of drivers still trying to make timed laps. Drivers like Swee, Sadistic King, JC Blackley, Monkey Mafia, and Smith Pell, not really sure they're going to have enough time to get to the line and start that final lap. I mean, I really don't think they're going to have enough time, but here is Sadistic King. Now on his time lap, he's going to make a final push for the pole. I'm going to ride along with him as he goes through turns 1, 2, and then 3. Heavy S is just retired from the session, so he currently finds himself down in 14th. But here's Sadistic King. Now, is he going to try to stick towards the inside of the track? He will. He's actually followed really similarly to what Sui did going through that corner on his pole lap. So as we still ride along with Sadistic King, he's having a solid lap so far. Heavy S is a little bit off in front of him. But honestly, Sadistic King's got the pace. I think we could see a change at the top of the leaderboard right here. We're just going to stick along with him. JC Blackley also found his way onto his outlap. Saffron City on his time lap as well. This is going to be a real mix-up amongst these top 5 spots. 6 spots, actually, because he's got Smith Bell up there as well.
Yeah, Monkey Mafia made it to the line, so he's out there. He's currently sitting in 5th with a 131.390, so he's only about 4/10 off from XSui. With these brand new sets of tires and with the track progression, you could possibly find 3 to 4/10 out here. So Monkey Mafia in the Ferrari might be, as you said, a pretty good fit for this team right now.
Oh no, and Sadistic King has gone really, really wide in the corner. I hate to cut you off there, but he had Kaz in front of him, who Kaz also was on a timed lap, and now both Kaz and Sadistic King find themselves in the gravel on the outside of turn 14. Goodness me, and wow, I'm pretty sure Sweet has just locked up that pole as Detail in the Mercedes finds its way up into third. What a drive from him. But wow,
Monkey
drama there at
Mafia
the
just
end.
put in a purple sector there in sector 2, so if he can make a good sector out of 3 there, he might be able to push himself up as well. He dropped down to 6th place right now with JC Blackley and Detail, who jumped up a couple of positions there. But Monkey Mafia right now rounding up the last couple of corners. And I'll be interested to see where this Ferrari driver with the number 66 on the car, interesting number. Let's see here. He's
Pole
first. There you
position.
go.
Wow.
130.762. Absolutely blowing it out of the water there by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, quite a
Ex-Swede, though,
comfortable
he's
lap.
still on the timed lap. He's coming around the last couple of corners right now, just overtaking another Ferrari there. Coming into the last corner, he's going to
Oh,
open
he
up
had
the
it deleted.
DRS.
He
Oh
had his time
no, and he
deleted coming out of
just
the corner.
overextended there.
And I think he was going to get pole as well on that lap. He was looking so fast through that, and he was setting purple sectors as well. Just coming off of that last corner out of 16, he had his lap time deleted. And so that at the moment seems like this is probably the final order that we're going to get, though Tear the Tear's still on his. Nope, he's going into the pits as well. We got Spool and Dub in the Ferrari currently sitting 12th, just kind of sat to the inside of turn 10 there. Not much he can do. So pretty much, I think this Spool and Dub's just been disqualified. So Spool and Dub was in about 7th. Where was he? He was like 12th at the time. And he's just been disqualified for some reason. Could he have been parked in a dangerous location? I mean, he was still going along, but he was not. He did not qualify 20th. He got disqualified just now. Goodness
Yeah,
me,
really
what's happened
unfortunate there. Sounds like a little bit of a glitch. Other than that, I don't really know what could have happened. I actually once got disqualified from a full qualifying session because my AI car, after I had finished my timed lap, had gone around and smashed into somebody and took both of us out of the race. And yeah, so that could have happened. But other than that, I mean, it could have just been a glitch. You might have just been slowing down to let people through, and unfortunately, that's yeah, that's the game that we're on.
Wow, so lots of drama there towards the end, but here's our driver rundown. Monkey Mafia in his full-time debut, I believe, in the Ferrari on pole position. Sui in the AlphaTauri second, Sadistic King third, Detail fourth, JC Blackley fifth, Saffron City the second, Williams in sixth, Smith Pell in seventh, Cake Thomas in eighth, Adeltoni in ninth, 10th is Terra the Terra, 11th is Domingos, 12th is Ray, 13th is Heavy S, 14th is C. Freeman, 15th is Feeman, 16th is Super Nina, 17th is Kaz, 18th is Racing Ginger, and 19th is Space Cowboy, and then 20th is Spool and Dub in the Ferrari. So a lot of mix-up within this grid, and this is surely going to be an exciting race. Right, so it looks like clear skies, and well, when I say clear skies, doesn't look like we're under the threat of rain. At the very least. I mean, I've never seen this track under rain, so I'm not entirely sure what could happen with that. This is a relatively flatter circuit, unless you're talking about turns 13 and then 1, 2, and 3. Those do have a lot of camber to them. However, the rest of the track is relatively flat. So if we know anything about flatter tracks, such as Canada, for me, those braking zones are going to get super, like, way longer, and it's going to be an even more difficult circuit. But for right now, I don't think we have rain on the forecast, as we got about 15 seconds until our start time here, which that's interesting. I don't know, because we're told to not press X after we're done putting our setup in. We're told to keep that time going. This does not seem like we waited. I'm not entirely sure. I think someone could have hit the X button by mistake or something, but here we go. We're about to start our formation lap. So, I mean, Blinn, I mean, after that qualifying session, do you have any predictions for this race?
Well, yeah, as I said, earlier, I think this is gonna be the race where XWE can possibly get onto the podium, or maybe get a really good result here today. Monkey Mafia could be a surprise. We don't really know what he can do just yet, but he's definitely impressed us in qualifying. Other than that, some people like JC Blackley and Cake Thomas, they manage to make their way and capitalize on situations that are happening on track on most of the races that I've seen so far. So I'm going to be looking out for those couple of people as well. And other than that, we can't really know. I mean, Domingo was really impressive in the last race. He had a little bit of an incident right towards the end of that race, but he was really impressive throughout. So there's a lot of drivers in here that can really deliver a bunch of surprises. We can't really know which way to go just yet.
Absolutely, and I mean, I really don't want to say anything and have a commentator's curse, but I'm really hoping Detail can have a good week this week. I mean, last time in Mexico, he had a really good start, and then something happened to where he got spun around in one of the first couple corners, completely ruining his race from there on out, and he's found himself in the top 5. I believe this is the second week in a row now. He's qualified in the top 5. I believe he did last week as well. So this man surely has the pace to possibly get on the podium, maybe get a win if everything plays out for him. But I don't want to speak too soon here. I'm just really hoping. I'm actually hoping for him that he can get this result because he has had some of the worst luck that I've seen out of some of these drivers. So yeah, hopefully he can notch himself a good result here. As for the rest of the grid, I think Sui has got probably one of the faster cars in the field now. And I think he could probably get a really, really good start. I'm hoping that Monkey Mafia can challenge him on that as well, because Monkey Mafia, as you can tell, has the pace as well. Sadistic King back there in third in the Williams, he's got bags of pace as well. So this is a really tightly contested top 3 here, and we are going to see some action going into turn 1 for sure, as the grid starts to form up behind our leaders.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and choose a good position somewhere in the midfield there to try and catch some of the action that's gonna be happening towards the front. But yeah, China, as I said, it always brings up some really interesting battles. Let's see what's gonna happen here tonight.
Here we go, the grid is forming up. I've got a PlayStation notification in the way. 1 light, 2 light, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on. Lights out, and away we go here at China. I think Sui actually got a really good start there. He's got the inside over Monkey Mafia going into turn 1. He surely got the advantage. There goes Sadistic King as well, trying to get on the bottom. Monkey Mafia has the outside line currently, sticking with Sui very nicely going through that corner as they now head down into 3. And we've got a virtual safety car already. What has happened there? Lots of drivers having penalties already. Unfortunately, I was stuck with the leaders here as we could have had a lead change, but we have a virtual safety car.
I was actually on board with Cake Thomas, which sort of ended up being the cause of this safety car. So they were making their way through the first couple of corners pretty nicely there, but then all of a sudden, Cake Thomas, it looked like JC Blackley had a really wide line coming into turn 1. So Cake Thomas jumped down the inside. JC Blackley then came back onto the racing line, and they made a tiny, tiny little touch. And the car of Cake Thomas just sort of started, going from side to side. He was trying to catch the slide, and as that was happening, he spun out, and that caused a little bit of a bottleneck situation there.
Well, what an interesting start as well, and I noticed Domingos also did not have the start he wanted, losing 7 positions on that start. The rest of the grid, though, seems to have stayed a little bit of the same, as we've got Sui in the lead, who has actually made the lead change. Monkey Mafia right behind him in second, actually might make this overtake going into turn 14. He's going to have the inside. Is he going to get it? Ooh, the suspense. And Monkey Mafia has it for now. Sui still has the left-hand side of the track. Sui's going to get the advantage, though, going into turn 16. And a very good defensive driving from Sui as they come out of 16. Monkey Mafia makes a touch on his rear end. And Sui, for now, has the advantage going back into 1. But here we go again. Here's Monkey Mafia to the right-hand side of the pack. Going into turn 1. Ooh, and Sui still has that outside. But as you remember, on the start, whoever had that left side of the track actually ended up having the advantage, and that was Sui. Contact again from Monkey Mafia and Sui. Lots and lots of action as we got plenty of cars coming into the pits here.
Yeah, and lots of people with penalties, lots of people in the pits. Terra the Terrace coming into the pits. It looks like Ray, Feeman, Space Cowboy, Cake Thomas, Domingos. All of those people have to either change their front wings or might have a change of strategy because of a bad incident right at the start. And as I'm watching here, JC Blackley and Detail, they are side by side, absolutely glued to each other coming through the second sector
Oh,
here.
and Detail's gone around! Oh no, I cursed it, haven't I? Oh no. what has happened there? I mean, you had the better angle on that. I'm not entirely sure why details spun around. Did you have anything on that?
Yeah, just looked like they made a tiny little bit of touch with, the front and to the back of each other's cars. So, yeah, I mean, it was really a racing incident, but yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. And it's such a tight space to come through side by side. Turns 9 and 10 over there. It's no joke.
Yeah, and so this is something interesting I've seen here. Sweet actually has a drive-through. For what, I'm not entirely sure why he has that drive-through. Did he possibly jump the start or something? But he's going to have, I believe, 2 more laps to get that drive-through in and squared away. As we look through the rest of the grid, Sefron has 5 seconds, Adeltonian has 10 seconds, C. Freeman and the other Mercedes has 10 seconds. Then towards the bottom of the grid, Domingos in the McLaren and Cake Thomas in the AlphaTauri both have 5 seconds worth of penalty. But for right now, Sui definitely seems to have the pace past Monkey Mafia. I believe DRS is open this lap, but Sui still has that drive-through penalty to manage, as Monkey Mafia might be facing some pressure here from Sadistic King very shortly.
And that was for speeding on the VSC. I just checked the race director there, so very unfortunate for XWE. And it just seems like every time he qualifies so well, he does well at the start, but then something just comes along and sort of ruins the race for him.
Oh, absolutely, and I mean, especially under the VSC. I mean, if you're going through a corner under the VSC, you have to pretty much stop the car, or you're going to get done in on the Delta penalty. So, I mean, that's unfortunate for him, and it happens to the best of us. So, not much he can do about that. Just take this drive-through. He's probably going to be taking it within this next lap here, probably this time by, as he's actually kept Monkey Mafia outside the DRS zone. Now, here comes Sadistic King as we get a yellow flag over in Sector 1. That is a Haas of Space Cowboy who's gone around over there in Turn 3. Oh, no, he's across the track at the moment. He's trying to get it squared away. So interesting stuff there, and Space Cowboy has just retired from the session, which is interesting. He doesn't have.
There's
did he actually
another.
retire?
There's somebody else in trouble as well. On the almost on the start-finish straight, there was a Ferrari spun around there, so there was actually yellow flags all over the place. Sector 1, 2, and 3, but not full yellow on the whole track. So. Wow, just a lot of things going on here. And XWE is now in 7th place. Oh, so he's taking his drive-through.
Yeah, and he's actually, I tell you what, he's actually come out very well to come out in 7th place. I think he's actually gotten away with that one there, despite having the drive-through. He still finds himself in a very manageable position. Super Ninas has just set the fastest time. Now, Super Ninas in this Renault team, I tell you what, have had their bright moments. I remember last week in Mexico, they were having a really, really good race, and then all of a sudden, I remember one of the Renaults just absolutely smacked a racing point in the middle of a straight, and completely ruined both of their race. As I believe Ray in the Renault, he's going to be coming into the pits. I believe he must have spun around or something. Yeah, he is missing the end plate on the left-hand side. So very, very interesting start so far. Now, JC Blackley I'm along with now, currently sitting second. He's inside the DRS zone on Sadistic King. Now, JC Blackley, certainly one of the more consistent drivers in this field. Definitely, I remember the first couple weeks he wasn't really applying the amount of pressure that he may have wanted as he may have wanted. But then as we started to get later into the season and closer to where we are now, he is on such a consistent run of form that this man, he's going to put quite the challenge to Sadistic King, who, don't look now, but places 1 and 2 on the track right now are also 1 and 2 in the driver's standings.
XWE is really trying to line up a move on Kaz because, he wants to get up on those positions as quickly as possible and recover back from that drive-through penalty. A little bit possibly unfair for that drive-through penalty. We don't really know what happened there exactly, but speeding under the VSC can be a little bit tricky, especially towards the end of the VSC. Sometimes it tells you it ends and then it doesn't right away, so it's a little bit tricky there, but he is lining up on Kaz. Kaz is not doing very well on understeer. It feels like he's got a little bit of an understeery car for today's race, and China is not a track where you want to have understeer.
No, not at all. But I mean, Kaz right now, if we look at where he started, Kaz has gained 11 positions since the start of this race. I assume he could have been one of the people that just simply didn't have a penalty and has now gained so many positions from it. As we see Spool and Dub down there in 8th, who's starting to close in on Sui, actually made up 12 positions since the start. Remember, he disqualified towards the end of the qualifying session, like right as he was in turn 16 as well. So that's good to see from him as well. As we got this front three right now, Sadistic King, who has put a little bit of a gap back on JC Blackley. Sadistic King has gone into the pits for what reason? And this is just some stop here. We still have plenty of ways to go in this race. I mean, this is a different strategy than I would have expected for sure. And Sadistic King has found himself on the pit road.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Sadistic King is thinking about executing a very short first stint on these soft tires, put on a medium, and then maybe jump back onto a soft towards the end of the race. That could be a possibility. He's made it 6 laps under that soft tire, and I know, you know, it only lasts for about 8, especially in China, so you're gonna have to get off of it, and he might have been losing too much time on that soft tire. It might have been actually a smart decision to just, you know, change strategy or go for a little bit of an alternate strategy, undercut people on the soft tire, and then see how that works out for you towards the end.
Well, we only have 4 drivers on the soft compound currently. That's the top 3 of JC Blackley, Smith Pelt, and Monkey Mafia, and then Sui, who is under pressure from Kaz here in 5th. This battle for 5th currently. A couple drivers took the hard tires. Sadistic King, who, this is actually not really that much of a surprise to me, because Sadistic King is one of those drivers who will pit early like this and rely on the longevity of these hard compound tires. This is not the first time we've seen him do it. We saw him do this at Bahrain. I believe we saw him last, goodness me knows how many laps on the medium tires in Mexico. I mean, he's surely becoming one of the better tire conservers in this division. So I mean, it's a very interesting strategy, but I think I'm going to trust his decision, because this man is a wizard with conserving those tires. As we also see JC and Smith Pell entering the pits now. Is that right? Yep. So we've got JC in the pits. So JC might be actually following along with... Yep. So JC's going to put on the hard compound as well. Let's see what Smith Pell does. Smith Pell is also putting on the hard compound. So lots of drivers opting for this hard compounded tire.
So this promotes Heavy S up into first place, XSui into second. He's still on that original soft tire though, so he sort of managed to catch up to the pack. After he's gonna make his stop, he will be pretty much on the same strategy and right up there with the same guys. Other than that, we have Kaz, who is under pressure from Spooling Dub, and Kaz and both actually Kaz and Spooling Dub, they're having the same problem. They're locking up into the entry of corners, and then they're having understeer after that. So the way that you try to compromise for that is by giving the boot on the exit, and then you'll have oversteer. So it's really tough, especially on this track, as Spooling Dub locks up the inside wheel once again. It is a tough time out there, and it's only lap 7, 21 more laps to go.
And yeah, I was seeing that as well, because Kaz was really under pressure from Sui. Sui got past him, I believe, 2 laps ago, and now Sui has put nearly 2 seconds of gap, just hanging around 2 seconds of gap back on Kaz. Though Sui is on the soft compound tire, and he's going to have the DRS this time by on Heavy S in first, as Spool and Dub just overtakes Kaz, I believe, going into the DRS section, so good move from him. I'm just worried about... Oh, and they're going to touch through the corner! Sui got really onto the left side of Heavy S's car there. Not exactly the cleanest move he could have made. And Sui is going to go directly into the pits. As I was going to say, Sui is going to have an interesting strategy here, because he's on the soft compound. He's already had a drive-through. He's now pitting a lap later than most of the field, so... I mean, this is really interesting for him. We'll have to see if he can bounce back again from this, as surely he's going to be putting on the hard compound, and yes, he is. But for now, we've got Heavy S into first place, somehow avoiding too much of a collision there with Sui. That was really, really close in turn 14 as well. That was scary. Where's Sui going to come out? He's back in 12th on that hard compound.
Sadistic King now trying to put up a little bit of pressure on Spooling Dub. We have a yellow flag in sector 3.
Feeman over in 15. Has he just lost it on the wall? Yeah, so he's going into the pits. Yeah, he's missing quite a bit of his right side there. Did he make contact with somebody? I'm not rightly sure what's happened there. Looking at C. Freeman's car currently, he doesn't have any damage, so I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he's just spun around and hit the wall in the exit of turn 14. Very much a possibility.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody around him, so I think it might have just been a little bit too eager on the power, a little bit trigger happy. Here comes Spooling Dub for an overtake on it. Savvy into the big right-hander there. Oh, and that didn't quite work out. And a Sadistic King is going to come up his around him now, and they're coming into the last corner now. They're all going to have DRS on each other as well, so this might be very interesting. Is Spooling Dub going to be able to go for another move? I don't think he's going to have the space now.
Well, so this is interesting here. Heavy S, Spool and Dub, and then Kaz behind Sadistic King here, who we're on board with currently. None of them has pit, and the only other person in the field who hasn't pit yet is Racing Ginger back in 8th. So surely Heavy S and Spool and Dub are going to have to make a stop here within these next couple laps. Well, they are on medium tires. They're on 8-lap-old mediums. So they could probably be good for another couple laps. Your Spool and Dub locks up again and going into the corner. As you said, I just noticed at that time, but you are correct about that. He is probably struggling with that car, but this is a really tightly contested battle amongst the top three here, as I believe we have an overtake between Super Ninas and Racing Ginger back there as well. Something has just gone down there as I'm trying to switch through everybody to do that on the top right-hand corner. Goodness me, I hate this camera.
So this is going to be pretty interesting because it's Heavy S and Spooling Dub on those mediums. They can probably take them for around 14, 15 laps or so if they're taking pretty good care of them. Spooling Dub, though, seems to be doing much better on that medium tire compared to its Heavy S, and there he goes for the overtake and for the lead of the Grand Prix at the moment. Sadistic King, though, on the hard tire, that's a little bit newer, yes, that's granted, but it's still a hard tire. It's still not an easy job to get that tire to give you some performance. And Sadistic King is putting pressure on both of the guys in front of him after making a pit stop as well. Absolutely incredible. He's doing a great job here today, and I would not be surprised if he ends up there on the podium.
Do you think Sadistic King might need to make another stop by the end of this race? I mean, I know he's on the as I'm saying that Ray has just picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. But do you think Sadistic King will have to make another stop here? I mean, I know he's on the hard compound and that can last him a long time. But I mean, theoretically, if we have a safety car or something, surely he's going to want to put on come into the pits and put on a pair of softs.
Yeah, I mean, if a safety car comes out, it's going to play out into his advantage, I think, at that point, because he can have a free pit stop, and there's somebody off right now in Sector 2. It looks to be a Red Bull of Feynman. Yeah, he's coming back onto the track, though, so hopefully that's not going to be anything major there. But, yeah, you know, if a safety car does come out, sure, at that point, Sadistic King can pit. But other than that, if it doesn't come out, he only has to do 21 laps total on the hard tire. That's not really an impossible task or anything hard to ask off the car. I think these hard tires can definitely do that.
And Spool and Dub has put about a 1.5 seconds over Heavy S right now, and Heavy S is going to have a lot of pressure on Sadistic King coming through this DRS section. Heavy S not getting the DRS, Sadistic King is going to have it this time by, as we're going to ride along with Sadistic King as they go into turn 14. How good of a run is he going to have? No, he's going to play it patiently for now, as I'm sure Spool and Dub and Heavy is going to be coming in within these next couple laps, and no, they're going to stay out at least one more, as Kaz has just overtaken Saffron City. Oh, when they touch, and Saffron's gone really wide on the exit of turns, over in turn 16, really off the track, and I've just caught that as well as it was happening. Kaz really just forced him off the track there. Surely that's going to be a steward report later in the day. Goodness me, that was really, really dangerous there from Kaz.
And look at this, Sadistic King up into second place, Spooling Dub up into first. It's Heavy has dropped down to third. He is really pretty much struggling right now on those tires. Feeman is retired in the pits. I think he just not really having a good day today, not really having a good race, and Ray has now retired in the pits as well. He's had a couple of moments here today as well that didn't really play well to him as a reserve driver, but Yeah, as I was saying there, it's Heavy is struggling on his medium tires, while Spooling Dub is making the same aged, 10 lap medium tires work and work really well. So I don't know if it's setup, I don't know if it's just down to driving or the lines that they're taking, but there's definitely a major difference there in pace.
And we see JC Blackley starting to he's getting a lot closer to Heavy S now. He's trying to close the gap, keep it within 2 seconds, as he had it for a little bit there, and then kind of lost it, I believe, going through turns 11, 12, and 13. But he's probably going to have DRS within these next 2 laps, assuming also Heavy S is probably going to need to pit. As speaking of pitting, Spool and Dub has just entered the pit lane, so a very late stop for him. Could he possibly... No, I know this would be a stretch. Well, no, he's probably going to have to put on the hards, isn't it? What's he doing? No, he's putting on mediums. I was going to say, could he be putting on mediums? And the answer is yes, Spool and Dub has put on a set of medium tires, so another interesting strategy there as Heavy S has also come into the pits. He's putting on hards.
So these are all the guys that actually pitted really early in the race from their softs over to a medium. So they're doing a two-stop, but they're doing a little bit of an interesting two-stop. Kaz is putting on hards though, so he's going for a little bit of a different strategy than everyone else. But yeah, this could be really interesting now. Spooling Dub is going to have a little bit of an advantage towards the end of this race, but he's going to have to do 16 laps on these medium tires. If he can make them work, he might be the hero of the day here.
Yeah, and I think him and, Heavy S, I know Heavy S is on just fresh hard tires, and I know that's slower than the medium tires, but I mean, if we look throughout the rest of the pack here, which you are on screen with now, some of these tires are getting pretty old, as Racing Ginger's on 11-lap-old mediums. Sadistic King, his hards probably are going to be helping him. He's currently in first right now. He's got a solid gap back to JC Blackley, almost about 3.5 seconds. But surely towards the end of this race, I think Heavy S might actually have a solid go here in the dying stages of the race, just because he's got some of the newer tires in the field. As we see, Saffron City might be making a move on Pell here very shortly, as Pell had quite the lockup going through turn 14. Saffron's going to have the DRS this time by, and as they exit turn 16, down the straight they go. This is going to be a close one to watch here. Super Ninas, back in 5th, is also... He's now on 10-lap-old mediums, but he has found his way up into the top 5. And so maybe we could be seeing a push from him later on. But here's Saffron. No, he's still a little bit back. Oh, Smith Pell is locked up again, really heavy. This time going through turn 3. So Saffron City surely might be making this overtake here very soon.
So pretty much almost midway through the race right now, and a lot of position changes throughout the field. If you look at it, Super Nin is 11 positions up from where he started. Spooling Dub 11 positions up from being last in the race due to a little bit of a disqualification glitch. A lot of the people up in the top 5 have not started there. They've all gotten there on their strategies pretty much. And Sadistic King is the main one who really played the strategy to a T right now, but it's not over yet. He's still got 14 laps to go. If he can keep that position, that will be a brilliant strategy.
And I tell you what, yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers we're looking at here, I mean, Monkey Mafia, currently sitting back in 6th, hasn't had the best day. I mean, he's on 5-lap-old hards right now. He's just come in from stop relatively recently. Started on pole. I mean, what a great drive it's been. I mean, up until that point, I mean, he was on pole, just kind of getting thrown into this team in the middle of the week. Who I believe is normally a Division 3 driver, so, I mean, so that's quite the jump up. And then Super Ninos coming into the pits as we speak. But yeah, I mean, he's doing a really good job of keeping this Ferrari team into contention here. I mean, they're currently only 2 points ahead of Williams in the constructor standings, 2 points behind McLaren in first. So, I mean, and right now, this has been a really solid day for the Ferrari team. I mean, we've got Smith Pell and the McLaren up in 3rd. Domingo's, the other McLaren, back in 15th. So we can certainly see the Ferrari team probably hold 2nd place, though I do think the Williams is going to have probably the advantage after this race, as we see Domingos has just received a penalty for speeding into pit lane. He's now up to 10 seconds in penalties.
It's heavy S is starting to get some pace into those hard tires. He's got Detail in front of him. He's very, very close to him, but Detail is on an older set of hard tires, so it's always tough when you come across a driver who's on the same set of tires but on an older set. So you know you sort of have just a tiny little bit more pace than they do, but it's really hard to overtake somebody if you don't have tire advantage. It's heavy is going to have DRS on the exit here, but Detail seems to have gotten the best exit out of turn 13 there onto the back straight. So now with the DRS open, here comes It's Heavy. Let's see if he's going to be able to go around him. He's going to try and go around the outside. Detail's going to keep the inside line. He gives him enough space though. They're going to be side by side coming out, but Detail's still ahead.
So I just want to point this out here. Racing Ginger, now I don't know if it's just on my screen or not, Racing Ginger has yet to make a stop. Currently on my screen it's showing 13 lap old medium tires. On my screen it says no stop. I assume he probably could have made one. But, I mean, still, this is an interesting strategy from him as we got a Haas over, who's gone off over in turn 14. That is Kaz in that Haas car. As his teammates of Space Cowboy has actually retired pretty early in this race as well. So the Haas team, who are currently sitting 6th in the constructor standings, this is not the day that they would have wanted. But you never know. I mean, it's still a lot of time left. I mean, Kaz probably could make up some ground. I mean, Cake Thomas in front of him has 5 seconds worth of penalties, and probably, I mean, he might need to make a stop soon. He's on 12-lap-old hard tires. So, yeah, I mean, Kaz could be moving up the order here very shortly, but certainly either way, I mean, this is not the day that Haas would have wanted, though Kaz did make up a couple positions. Still, not what they need.
I'm really interested to see where Saffron City is going to end up. He is on an alternate strategy compared to most of the drivers out there. It's only him and Edeltonian who are pretty much on the same strategy right now. They're going to have to make another pit stop. What sort of tire are they going to fit on, and where are they going to end up in this race? That's going to be a really interesting situation. There goes Edeltonian into the pits right now after only 10 laps on the medium tire. I mean, you can do about 8 on the soft, so you can do at least 12 on the medium, so I think you might have done that a little bit too early. We have an incident there with Domingos. Yeah, he's off
really
there in the wall.
Goodness me,
and he is cutting grass now.
And the Mercedes-powered lawnmower strikes again, but, I mean, goodness me, I feel bad because Domingos has so much pace, and I feel like he has no luck recently. And he's spun again on camera. That's unfortunate. Surely he's missing part of his front wing there. I can't really see from this camera angle that I have. But yeah, just really, really unfortunate for him. And Domingos is a solid driver. We saw him in the earlier stages of the season have some really good races. Obviously at the time it was Scavney who was kind of leading the show for McLaren, but Domingos was right behind him and having just as solid results. So this is really just an unfortunate, just little slump in, I guess, performance by the McLaren team as we see J.C. Blackley, believe just trying to hold off Smith Pell. No, that's Domingos, actually his teammate, he's a back marker. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. But we have Saffron City, who's entering the pits now after going on 11 laps on that medium compound. So, and he's just picked up 5 seconds. Oh, goodness me. That is not what Saffron needed. He's got the penalty for speeding into the pit lane. And, I mean, he's taking this stop as well, which is probably smart considering he's on the older medium tires. He's putting on another set of medium tires. But that penalty is not what he needed whatsoever.
I'm on board with XSui right now, who is trying to recover some positions after that early drive-through penalty that he had, and he is in 5th. He is half a second behind Monkey Mafia, but one thing I noticed, Monkey Mafia, without any DRS, without anything really, he's still able to stay ahead on the straights and stay ahead by quite a bit. So maybe there's a little bit of a setup difference there, or maybe it's the overtake button that he's using, but he's doing a great job defending 4th place right now.
Yeah, and I know a lot of drivers use that ERS button a lot or the overtake button a lot differently. I mean, I know for a fact that when you go up against a driver, me personally, if you know him from Division One, El Majaco, I think he really uses that button in the straights mainly. I mean, through the corners, he almost doesn't use it. Especially on exit, but like he'll use it for the length of straights and gets you every time. So a lot of drivers choose to use that button a lot. It's just really different among everybody. But yeah, certainly could be. As Monkey Mafia doesn't have it on now. Well, he probably could have, but yeah, that's a big thing, especially in especially in the F1 divisions. It throws a whole nother element into it. Whereas, the division that I'm in F2. That's not really a thing. It's pretty much just who's got the faster setup. But this is it's just another game changer essentially. As Smith Pell in the McLaren, who probably gonna have to stop again at some point, possibly. About 10 laps to go here. He's on 10 lap old hard tires. He's made up 4 spots since the start of the race. He's had a solid race so far. Might be putting pressure onto JC Blackley shortly, who's also on 10 lap old hard tires. I mean, I'm not sure what the strategy is going to be. Are some of these? Do you think that some of these drivers on the harder or on the older compounds are going to be coming in here shortly, or do you think they're going to try and stick it out to the end?
I think, they might try and stick it out to the end. A hard tire can do 20 laps if you can manage it properly. The question really is going to be how quick are they going to be on those tires towards the end of the race. If they're going to be able to just keep position but not defend it, it's not going to help them out. So I think they're really pretty much praying for a safety car right now. They hoping that something will happen and they might get a chance to pit for free. We'll have to wait and see, as XWE is now right on the back of Monkey Mafia yet again with the DRS on the back straight. But still, Monkey Mafia is just able to get a really good exit out of turn 13 onto that back straight and still keeping ahead in 4th.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much the difference is going to be between, as we see Smith Pell overtaking JC Blackley for second as they head through turns 1, 2, and 3. But I'm wondering how much of a difference it's going to be at the end of the race between, the 20-lap-old hard tires, as we see some of these, probably the top 5 is going to have, and some of these medium tires, because, at around 10 laps, the mediums start to go away as well. So I think it's going to be a probably pretty level playing field for most of these drivers. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here as JC trying to put on some pressure onto Smith Pell for second, who's JC's just lost that position going through turn 15. So maybe he'll be trying to get it back again very shortly as he will be entering the DRS zone in a couple corners here. As Swee's going to be putting the moves on Monkey Mafia as they exit turn 7. Yeah, he's putting on a lot of pressure. You can tell Monkey Mafia is not messing with his overtake button in these corners and on the exits. I think it's more or less he's just using it through the straights, and I mean, that's certainly a valid strategy. As now Spool and Dub wants into this mix. The two Ferraris battling it out here for 4th, as Sweet sits there in 5th, might be making a move here shortly in the DRS zone, and then Spool and Dub, who is on the newest tires out of all of them, 6-lap-old mediums, might be also entering this here very shortly, as we're going to ride down with these guys into the straight. Now here's Sweet. Oh, is he going to get this overtake on Monkey Mafia? He's going to have the line going into the corner. It's going to be close. Into the corner. Monkey Mafia goes wide, cutting off that line. That was good defensive driving from Monkey Mafia to ensure that he kept that position.
Yeah, this battle ain't over yet. We've got another DRS zone here on the start-finish straight. He comes XWE. He's got the best run he's had so far. He's gonna go around the outside into the inside of turn 1, and that's XWE into 4th place.
And that was a great move from him as well, but Swee's gone actually a little bit wider for comfort there, as Monkey Mafia's just picked up 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I mean, I'm not rightly sure what's happened there, but Swee went really wide in turn 2 there. I'm not really sure, and I thought he was going to lose that position for a second, as Spoolendove has actually overtaken his teammate for 5th place, so lots of battles amongst this midfield here. But here we have JC Blackley, could possibly be making the move on Smith Pell coming up to this DRS section. I mean, Sadistic King's really not had too much to worry about so far. He's got about 5 seconds of gap back on 2nd place, but I mean, A lot of these drivers, I think some of them are probably hoping for a safety car, but some of them probably aren't because if you're a driver like Sadistic King right now, that could mean so many different things if a safety car comes out. Yeah, you could put on new tires, but I mean, it's going to be a big challenge for him. And is JC going to get this overtake going into 14? No. Oh, yes. Oh, goodness me, he nearly wrecked him. I couldn't tell if he was doing it or not. I almost had a stroke, but yeah, no, very good race so far. I mean, Blinn, what do you make of it? We're within the last 10 laps now. I mean, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely great. The battling is all over the place. It's constant. It's, definitely changing positions all the time. Also, with the tire strategies, China is really a race that you do win on strategy. You win it or you lose it on strategy as well. So I still don't know if Sadistic King and Smith Bell and JC are going to be able to pull off these hard tires until the end. If they can, like, how much pressure can somebody like Spooling Dub possibly put on them with those fresher medium tires? It's really still up in the air. I'm really not sure which way it's going to go yet.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think personally, this is one of the better races we've had this season. Not just necessarily, and when I've said that in the past, it's been because of these last lap lead changes that completely mess up the results of the race. No, this has been a solid race throughout the whole thing. It's been relatively clean, other than the first lap, of course. It's always a mess. But I mean, these guys have made this a very interesting and fun to watch race. I mean, again, not a lot of drivers like this track in both real life and virtually, of course. But this has been a really solid race and one of my favorites so far this season. So we have a yellow flag over in Sector 3. I believe that's, could that be Domingos who's gone off? Yeah, he's gone a little bit slow. Could he have just maybe spun on exit at turn 13? I'm not really sure what's happened there, but so Domingos is the cause of that yellow flag, but not a lot of laps left here to go. Sadistic King in that Williams, man, he's had a great day for him. He's on older tires than most of the field, aside from Detail and Cake Thomas, who are on 16 and 18 lap old hards, respectively. But I mean, a great day overall, and we still have a lot left to go here as far as some of these drivers making challenges for positions. As JC, oh, and he got really loose coming out of 4 as well. That was, JC probably could have had that position within 2 more corners, and he absolutely lost it through that corner. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, Spooling Dub is starting to put some pressure on XSWE now. Um, again, this is all between those tire strategies. XSWE on those older hard tires, he's definitely pushing them until the end now. Only 6 laps to go. Spooling Dub, he's got the mediums, which are giving him a little bit more pace now, but those mediums, if you're going to ask him to do 15 laps, that's a big ask as well. So Spooling Dub's not going to be able to put on this pressure for much longer. And then at the front, you've got the people on the same strategies on the same tires, but they're all pulling out different paces on each other, so it's completely it's a great race, absolutely.
Super Nunez has just picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. So I mean, we had a lot of people picking up penalties on the start of the race, but since then it's been relatively clean. I mean, there's been a couple one-off penalties, like we had Swee's drive-through that we had, but for the most part, this has been a really decently solid race for a lot of these drivers. That's what I was asking them in the Discord as well. Just, what are your goals for this race? And a lot of them just said stay penalty-free. And, despite some of these drivers having penalties in the early stages, I mean, it hasn't come back to bite them all too much. But I tell you what, it's been one solid race so far. As Spool and Dub, is he going to get this move going into turn 1? No, he's going to lay off for now. Hoping that Sui's older tires, the 4 laps older hard compounds, will play to his disadvantage here, as Spool and Dub's on 10 lap old mediums. But I mean, a solid day realistically for the Ferrari garage so far. I mean, Spool and Dub starting at the back of the field, currently finds himself in 5th. I mean, what a drive it's been for him so far. Monkey Mafia started on pole, currently finds himself back in 6th, but I mean, that's a solid result for the Ferrari team. I mean, surely that's gonna launch them maybe over McLaren. I mean, I'm not sure how many points McLaren's gonna drop, considering Smith Pell currently sits 2nd, but it's gonna be even closer than it is now at the top of this constructors standings. as we see JC now has a bit more of a gap back to Smith Pell. It's now almost a second and a half. So the top three is relatively spread out. Through the midfield, it's gotten a lot more spread out. As we saw before, we had 3 and 4 car battles for some of these positions, but now it's only this Sui and Spool and Dub. As Sui throws the block, going down the straight into turn 14. Spool and Dub is going to outbreak Sui, and yes, he does. What a move from Spool and Dub to put himself into 4th. That was brilliantly done there. But as we see going into 16, it's not over yet.
Yeah, great battling and a great move there from Spooling Dub, nice and clean into turn 14 there. But now XSui is going to have a little bit of the advantage. He's going to have the DRS and tires that are designed to do these sort of distances. You know, when you're comparing it to Spooling Dub, he's on a tire that is pretty much at the end of its tire life right now. And from here on, Spooling Dub is just going to be doing, you know, damage control until the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm seeing a lot of cars specifically be kind of spinning the tires a little bit on exit at turn 3 and going through turn 4. I mean, that's a lot of problems are happening there. Specifically, we saw JC Blackley that happened to. Just now, we saw Sui have that same little tire spin going through that corner. So, I mean, that is a really, really tough thing there. As Monkey Mafia just recently picked up that 3 seconds, because I don't remember seeing that there before. But him, Saffron City, and Super Ninjas all have penalties. Positions 6th, 7th, and 8th. So yeah, this is... so also a thing that I'm enjoying about this, not a lot of these positions are going to be determined on penalties. I really enjoy that in a race, and we are seeing just that here. But is Sui going to be able to make this move into turn 14? No, he's a bit too far at the moment. Oh, he might get. Spoolin's gone a little bit wide in that corner. Nope, Spoolin's going to hold on to it for now, but this is certainly the battle to watch.
Yeah, 3 more laps to go, and these guys are fighting it out until the end. Kick Thomas just picked up a 3-second penalty there for multiple warnings. So not too many people with penalties, but still a few of them out there. And yeah, at the front, Sadistic King leading the race by 4 seconds, doing a great job. Great drive from him, good strategy call, and as long as he can make it another 3 laps on those tires, he should be alright.
That is very true. I mean, a lot of people... I mean, these people that are in the top 5 currently all have... all made the right strategy calls. I mean, we see... I get the tire menu back up, we've got Sadistic King, who's made those hard tires last pretty much forever, and has somehow kept 4 seconds of gap on 2nd place. That is actually kind of incredible to me, because hard tires, you know, they are designed to last long, but 20 laps, especially at China, that's a long time. As we see also Smith Pell and JC Blackley making the tire strategy work here. JC might be making a move on Smith Pell within these next couple DRS zones. He's been teetering in and out of the 1 second mark. As here we go again. Here's Sui possibly making the move on Spool and Dub. Who's this? This is Domingos just pulling over to the side. Now, is Sui going to make this move? Sui is, again, as I said earlier, one of those drivers who isn't the most aggressive, and sometimes that comes to hurt him, but I tell you what, he's done really good so far, and hopefully within these last couple laps here, he can make this move for 4th. As Spool and Dub enters the pits.
Yeah, those medium tires, that's it. They ran out of the life that they had.
Oh, and he gets 5
5
seconds
penalty
as well. Goodness me. Oh, he's putting on softs. Okay, so an interesting strategy call here. Probably not going to get enough time to make up too many more positions. Interesting call there. I think I probably, even if the tires were going away, I mean, they must have been at the point, like, almost puncture level, or almost flat level, I mean, for him to be pitting with only a couple laps left to go. I think me personally would have tried to stick it out maybe a little bit longer.
Oh,
but...
I think XSui's got a puncture. It looks from the, or at least it looked for a moment from his car that the car was a little bit slow and weird, but no, it seems like he's okay. But wow, that was a scare there for a second.
Yeah, and that's certainly a thing. I mean, I wouldn't expect that on some of these hard tires, but I mean, if you're... I mean, if you're Adeltonian or Saffron City, I mean, in a couple laps, I mean, maybe that's what was happening with Spool and Dub. Maybe he was just starting to get a puncture, and he caught it early. and chose to go into the pits because, I mean, that was a really just off move to go into the pits, sitting in, fourth place there with only a couple laps to go. So, I mean, that was probably just a call for him to say, look, I am right now going to crash this car because these tires are going away. So, I mean, maybe that's what that was, actually. But, I mean, I'm just going to be watching Citizen King here because, again, 20 lap-old hard tires. I mean, that's pushing it still. And that gap back to Smith Pell is slowly starting to close in, now within 3.5 seconds. But JC Blackley, sitting in third currently, he might be making this move on Smith Pell very shortly. As JC has stayed within half a second for a little bit now. I mean, this is going to be a battle right here. As further down the pack, we have actually nobody. That's just back markers going through. Depressing. So we're gonna stay along with JC Blackley here shortly. I mean, Sadistic King, he's had a really good day. He's only got a lap left to go. Hopefully, he keeps this gap up, and that gap is actually dropping significantly. Smith Pell was 3.5 seconds at the beginning of the lap. He's now moved it within 3 seconds. Could we be seeing the end of Sadistic King's tire life here, as he is going significantly slower than he was earlier? This could be something here.
Yeah, again, I think they're doing damage control right now, and Sadistic King, out of the top 4, he's got the oldest set of tires, only by a lap, but I'm sure that's going to make a difference as well. That's probably about 5% of wear when you get to this point. And yeah, there you go, 2.5 seconds now. 2 laps ago, they were at 4.5 seconds, so that's 2 seconds gone in 2 laps, and Smith Pell now is starting to really smell blood in the water.
I guess so, and I mean, here we go. This is now the final lap, isn't it, of the race? I mean, Sadistic King, can he hold on? I mean, he's surely losing grip now. As you can see, that gap is dropping rapidly. JC still putting Smith Pell under pressure currently. Again, as you said, that lap of difference between the two cars could actually amount to something, as that gap is now almost under 2 seconds, starting to kind of stay steady for a minute, now back up to 2.5 seconds back. JC, here we are in third. I mean, he's going to have to make this move within this next DRS section as Spool and Dub sets the fastest lap. Smith Pell locks up into the corner. JC surely is going to be looking to make his move within this next DRS section. Could be sooner than that, even. Still riding along with JC Blackley as he heads through turn 10, and now into 11. Now we're going to ride along with Sadistic King, because he's now got 2 seconds back on Smith Pell. The gap, it's not DRS range, still got a second to go, but I mean, it is rapidly closing. We've certainly seen gaps lost like that, and Sadistic King is his pace starting to actually rapidly drop here, as someone's gone off in the corner. That is, I believe, another McLaren, but Sadistic King is really starting to lose pace here. As they head through the last couple corners here, Smith Pell locks up into the corners. Sadistic King still has the advantage, and as he comes out of turn 16 a little bit too close for comfort, but Sadistic King is going to get the win here at China, followed by Smith Pell, and then JC Blackley. What a race that has been.
Yeah, absolutely incredible, especially those top 3, making those hard tires last for 21 and 22 laps each, and XWE with 20 lap old hard tires as well in 4th place. Finally, some good points for him.
Absolutely, and I mean, what a drive it's been, and we will get to interview these drivers after we go through the final order. Just because we are pre-recording this, I am going to have to stop the film to invite these people into the party, but we will probably be hearing from Sadistic King, Smith Pell, and then JC Blackley, our top 3 for this race. What a drive it's been, and then Swee finds his way back up into 4th. I mean, after that penalty that he had, only losing 2 spots, I mean, 4th place, that is a result for Swee. He should be quite happy about that one.
Yeah, great drive, absolutely incredible from all of those guys tonight, but XWE, as I said, finally getting some good points.
Absolutely, and then we got Saffron City, the second Williams driver, finishing 5th. This is a solid day for Williams overall. Ferrari has also had themselves a pretty solid day, finishing 6th and 8th, with the Renault, I believe, not Best Pawns, the Super Nina splitting the two of them. driver of the day, Spool and Dobb, rightfully so, going from 20th to 8th. What a drive it was for him. And so Sadistic King, solid drive from him. Not the first time we've seen him on the top step of the podium, and a great drive from him overall. Well done. And this Williams team surely becoming the easily one of the better teams in this division. But and they're handling the pressure well. As I mean, they've been pressuring McLaren at the top for a long time now. And this is surely going to really help the Williams garage as we go through our final order of the day. Sadistic King in the Williams, finishing in first. Smith Pell in second. Great drive from him in the McLaren, finishing second. JC Blackley in the Red Bull. Another podium for JC, finishing third. Sweet in fourth. Sefron City, the second Williams driver in fifth. Monkey Mafia, sixth in the Ferrari. Seventh, Super Ninos. Eighth, Spool and Dubs. Ninth, Edeltonian. 10th, Heavy S. 11th is Cake Thomas. 12th is Detail. 13th is Kaz. 14th is Racing Ginger. 15th, Tear the Tear. 16th, Domingos. 17th is C. Freeman. 18th is Feeman. 19th is Ray. And then 20th is Space Cowboy, and we will get the drivers in here for the interview very shortly. So yeah, we're going to be getting our drivers in here very shortly. I mean, Blinn, your thoughts on the race? I mean, what a drive it's been.
Yeah, China never disappoints. It's a really nice track. It's very technical, but it's got a couple of places that you can really overtake. So that's exactly what we saw here today. A bunch of battling going on throughout the whole field. A lot of strategy calls, a lot of strategy games that definitely, ended up working out for a lot of people, including our winner, Sadistic King. So, yeah, really exciting race.
Absolutely, and we've got Smith Pell with us right now. Smith Pell, I mean, that was a really solid drive from you as well. Just, I mean, what was going on in your head with the strategy? Because there was a couple different strategies that people were trying. I mean, what were your thoughts like on that? Yeah, no, I got you. Absolutely, and I mean, so you've been on actually a really good run of consistency and run of form here. I mean, McLaren in general. I mean, we had McLaren at the beginning of the year be very dominant, and then kind of like a little lull for a couple races there, specifically Austria in question. But I mean, this is a really good result for you today. I mean, do you hope that? I mean, how are you going to make this podium here turn into even more results of success, because McLaren in general is under a lot of pressure at the top of the constructors. Absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
Smith
And
Bell,
oh, go ahead.
great job today, great drive, and like you were saying there, with the driver changes happening all the time, does that affect your mindset for the team or for the season at all? Yeah, great job. Congratulations again.
Sorry about that, guys.
Oh,
I've
hey,
been
there you go.
holding
That's
that in since lap 12.
Absolutely perfect timing from Sadistic King as he's just come back from his break and we've just finished with Smith Pell. Absolutely perfect timing. So, I mean, what a drive it's been from you. And I mean, a great result for the Williams team in general. You guys have been very, very consistent throughout this whole year. But I'm just going to ask the same question to you. What were your thoughts on the strategy that you chose today? I mean, you are one of the drivers in the grid that chooses sometimes some interesting strategies to say the least. But I mean, hey, it worked
Yeah.
today for sure.
Um, I like to one stop, or at least try to anyway. But I was actually testing out the soft hard strategy today, and it seemed to work. So I noticed a couple of the other guys went with it as well.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it certainly worked for you, and I mean, uh, you're definitely really propelling this Williams team along. Your teammate not too far behind you either. I mean, you guys are really putting the pressure at the top of the
Yeah.
constructor standing. I believe with the result today, you guys are going to move into first, but then just going to be looking down the rest of the schedule here in a second. We got Baku, Russia, and then Zandvoort. I mean, are you confident on these next couple of tracks? Do you think you can keep this result going?
Uh, I am known for my street tracks, so I'm confident about Baku. I'm a bit in the middle about Zandvoort. It depends.
Yeah, and I mean that,
If it rains, I won't last long, that's all I'm saying.
absolutely. That track's a mess in the rain as well. And I know Baku
Yeah.
is going to be one of the more interesting races of the season. I mean, just overall great drive from you today, Smith. Blinn, do you have anything left to ask?
Yeah, I mean, so this again leading the championship right now. Williams is going to jump up into the championship lead also thanks to today's performance. Just your outlook for the rest of the season. Do you think you guys can keep up at the top there and take both titles?
Um, I think with the rest of the tracks that are left to go, I would say we have a good chance. It just depends on what happens in the race, so anything can happen, so
Yeah, absolutely.
like,
Well,
you never know what's going to
congratulations on the
happen.
win. That was brilliant drive today.
Yeah. Also, congrats to the guys in P2 and P3 as well. I noticed the one-stop strat worked for them as well, so
Yeah,
it got a
absolutely.
little bit ropey towards the end, but
Yeah, no, I was watching that and I was seeing I was like, goodness me, he's starting to lose pace on those tires. I mean, that was getting really hairy towards the end, but
to be
you made the
honest,
strategy
I
work.
wanted to be I wanted to be consistent. I didn't really push any of the race. I wasn't pushing at the end either. I knew if Smith and JC got within a second that I would turn up the engine, but I spent for the most part running and leading standard, just because
Yeah,
the way the track is and try to save the tyres as well. But the hards are terrible around China. Don't try it. So I
absolutely. I
don't think
mean,
I'll be doing it again soon.
absolutely. I mean, what a drive it's been from you. What a season it's been for you and this Williams team so far. Hopefully, we'll see that continuing good run of form
Yeah,
into
it's
the
looking
second
good.
half of the season. So, well done from you, sir. And I mean, Blaine, do you have anything else to add? I mean, what a race it's been. We've had so much action. It's almost been hard to comprehend today, but a very solid race.
Yeah, great race. Really excited to see how the rest of the season is going to turn out for these guys in Division 2. I've really enjoyed it today. Great battles, great strategy calls from a lot of the drivers, and really congrats to all of those guys that made those hard tires last for more than 20 laps. That was very impressive. But yeah, overall, just really good race, and yeah, I'm really excited to see how the rest of it is going to go.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for the week 8 of the Midwest F1 League Division 2 for myself, Hotspot, and for Blinn, and for everyone here at the Midwest F1 League. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in next week as we go to the Baku Street Circuit. Should be another interesting race, so we will see you then. Good night, everyone.